Well, I found out my wiper motor doesn't work, and I found out it's probably the motor itself or something with the mechanisms that's rusted inside, because when I turn it on, I can actually help it along with my hand, and sometimes it'll move a little bit by itself. So that tells me it's not the switch itself on the steering column, it's not the fuse, it's not the relay, it's not a break in the wiring or anything like that. But what could be is that it could be even in here. This could be rusted in here too, and mechanically it's just rusted up or something, besides maybe the motor not just being bad, or maybe it's a combination of both things. Now, one advantage of these older Samurais is that this is actually a Jimny 1385 model. Now this is a right-hand drive like in Australia, but it's USA. I got it in the USA, but the thing is, there's a little plastic piece that comes off of here. Basically, you unsnap the windshield here. Now, on the new ones, the newer Samurais, which is the later 90s, I don't know what year they changed, you really got to take apart the whole dash and everything. It's kind of a pain. It really is a pain in the ass to get at the wiper motors. But on the older Samurais, after you unclip the windshield, it's right here. So I'm going to take this apart, and first I'm going to see if, maybe there's something going on in here too, where this is not moving free. So when I disconnect this motor, I'm going to check for the freedom of movement of the mechanism itself. Now this motor is about, I guess when you figure the core charge or shipping, whatever, it's probably about 85 to 100 or something like that, or 75 to 100 bucks. I don't really think it's bad, though, to tell you the truth. I think there's probably some gears in here that need to be lubed up, and it needs to have some electromotive cleaner, WD-40, clean it up, and it'll probably work like brand new. That's my tendency, that I think. So I'm going to put this video out here because actually this is a common problem. A lot of these don't work that good. And another thing is, you got some of your ground through the hinges, right? I don't know, this could be, this ground could be dirty too. This is for the motor, to make the wiper motor, which can make it look slower. So you want to clean this ground, make sure it's good, check it with an ohm meter. And you might have this ground might be missing. This is the wire off of the antenna now right here. But you might want to check this ground too, because that could be your problem too. It could just be a bad ground versus a bad motor. And again, it could be this stuff in here too. These could be locked up. They might need some penetrating oil in here too. So I don't know. Now I took the motor out. It's basically just 4 big Phillips screws and a 10mm nut, and you just pop it off. It's like on there with serrated edge. You can see it right on there. You just pop it off with a screwdriver, after you take a 10mm nut off. Now, it looks like probably most of the problem is the wipers. See, they're stiff. These should go nice and smooth, and I think there's just rust built up in here. So, that's 90% of the problem. So, good thing I didn't buy a motor, because I don't really think the problem is the motor. Might be a little worn, but it's not. See that? They're stuck. There's something going on. So I need some penetrating oil, grease, and that type of stuff, and it'll probably free up, and I should clean up the inside of the motor, and it should be fine. So a lot of times on these things, that could be really 90% of the problem why they work slow. They need to be cleaned up in here. They need to be greased and stuff. So here's your deal. That's the deal. So just unscrew these, and these come off, and that comes off, and you can see I'm gonna have to take these nuts off here and see, grease everything up really good. It's probably 90% of the problem. Yeah, I'm checking out the motor here, and I can see it's spinning, and it seems like it has a lot of strength. I don't think the problem is the motor. I gotta have it grounded. I used a jumper cable over to there. I don't think the problem is the motor. So it looks like this one is frozen up in the middle here, so I think that's 90% of the problem. It seems like it's strong. I can't slow it down with my hand. Anyway, you know, just behoove you, if you think the motor's bad, maybe it ain't the motor, it's probably some rust in the mechanism up here. And you know what I'm probably going to do is spray a little, maybe I won't though. If it turns out to be okay, I'll leave it alone. Doesn't feel like it's getting hot or anything. So I think it's actually the mechanism versus the motor. Well, rather than give you every single detail on this thing, basically I got it where the shaft is turning inside of here, so that's freed up. This nut is still on here, rock solid. It's kind of roasted. Now I need some days of penetrating oil, but you can see if I'm moving the arm back and forth by hand, you see the shaft, the nut kind of turns too, but the shaft turns. So actually if I hook this up, this would work, but I want to get that nut loosened up. Then I want to rust proof the nut and put some what do you call it, anti-seize on there and stuff like that. But it's probably going to take maybe a day, or I don't know, it may take a couple hours, or it might take a couple weeks to get this nut off, but it should work. The actual motor's fine, and I'll bet you that's probably most of the problem. There's some rust that gets in here. People are replacing these motors. They think they got bad motors, and if you have the newer Samurai, which is not new, it's the 90s, it's not like a 30-minute job to change the motor out. It's a pain in the ass. You got to actually take the dash out, the steering wheel, the glove box. There's a whole bunch of crap you got to do because it's mounted up underneath the dash. This one, the older model, it's real easy, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with this motor. And why would you change a $90 motor if there's nothing wrong with it and you still got the problem? It's actually rust over here, and I think that bet you that's what's the problem with most of them. A lot of people ought to check this stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use penetrating oil on here, but I'm also going to use vinegar. And if it doesn't come off ever, it will though. But say it never came off, I could never get this nut off, I would cut it off with the Dremel and just get another one and put it on there. That's what I would do. As a matter of fact, I'll probably replace those with 2 new ones or something, but maybe not. I'll just make them sort of rust proof. But that's the problem, and this seems to be a common problem. Why the windshield wipers work slow? It's not the motor, it's the mechanical mechanisms. Take it apart, grease it up. And also in here, put a bunch of grease up in here where this like spins around with the motor, so it goes back and forth. Now, like I said, if I install this, this would actually just work right now, but I'm not going to install it till it's 100% right. But that's basically what's wrong with these things, why the wipers work slow. I'll guarantee you it's not the motor. And you know what? If you keep using them like this, it's going to burn the motor out. So, behoove you to do a little bit of maintenance on this deal. By the way, this thing, I'm going to point it out in this video, this catches a lot of leaves in here. And I don't know if you can see up in that, there's a little section here. Basically, the water runs down here, and there's a couple little spots back behind the firewall where the water runs out, and where your air goes in is right here. Now there's no leaf catcher for that, and that gets filled up, the heater box gets filled up with leaves if it gets up in here, right? It's kind of hard to get in there, but it does get in there, and I have a video on how to clean that out. But what I'm going to do probably later on is I'm probably going to cut this out with a Dremel and make a flange around here that'll be all riveted to it, and with some nuts that are basically, I forget what they call those nuts that go into they basically lock into the sheet metal. And so I can pull this thing out. First off, I'm going to rust proof the crap out of everything inside of here, but the thing is, I'll be able to pull this out and vacuum everything in there easy too, without actually and put a screen behind it too. So you know, it's probably a little modification I'm going to do later. I'm just going to point it out in this video because you know, it's a couple little details that they probably could have done from new, but hey, you know, I wish they still made these. They don't make them like this no more, man. So even the newer ones, I don't think they have the fold down windshield, the ones in the 90s. And well, like I said, if you got a problem more than likely it's his mechanism, and if you don't take care of the mechanism and get it greased up and get all that shit out of there, you're gonna burn the motor up. Because I noticed this motor was getting hot when I was using it, and I was like, man, I'm turning this damn thing off, because I felt it with my hand. And you know, good thing I did, because instead of continue trying to reuse it, fix it right.